What is happening, guys? Jim, the game guru. Okay, I want to talk about Switch Online games. I've seen a couple YouTubers, larger YouTubers, already talk about how bad the games are. But I have my own opinions on this. But before I dig into that, let me reveal the winner of the Mario Golf Super Rush giveaway, and that's Abdullah Al-Mubarak. I may have pronounced your name incorrectly. I apologize if I have done that. But Abdullah, you have won Mario Golf Super Rush. Check your email. I've already sent you an email. Check your email. Check in your spam folder and reply back with your address so I can send you your game. So let's get into this whole thing with Switch Online games and how there's, people are complaining they're so bad. I don't feel like this is all of Nintendo's fault. And here we are in 2021, and it's kind of ridiculous that in 2021 we still cannot get the entire library of game systems on these modern consoles. People are still using ROMs, they're still using emulator front ends, and to get their entire collection in there. I think this is something that can be commercialized. I think that they can, capitalize on doing maybe a subscription service or something with it to bring that to the Switch Online service. Why is it that like all these little crappy games are coming to the Switch Online service, but none of the good ones are? I mean, are the good ones just so amazing that they just don't run well in emulation? No. I feel like this is a big reason is because of this. It's that lovely greed. There's this huge fragmentation in the eShop with these separate game companies creating their own game packages with these ROMs, and they're basically just apps that are running on the Switch console that are interfacing with an emulator, just like the Switch Online service games. I doubt that is coded from scratch. I've been using emulation for a long time for a lot of older games, and I pretty much know how they work. So I doubt that it's some crazy engineering going on. I'm sure there's some kind of interface to an emulator with a configuration file for each game that says name, image for box art image, description, number of players, etc. So I feel like they can easily add additional games to the service. So I don't think there's a technical reason. I do not feel like there's a technical reason. It doesn't make sense that it would be a technical reason. I think the only thing that makes sense for me is either it has to be a legal reason. There has to be a legal reason why you don't see games like Secret of Mana or the Contra games on the Switch Online app, because they want to sell those packages. They want to sell their own packages with those ROMs on the Switch console. If Secret of Mana was on the Switch Online games, no one would buy the Mana Collection. The Mana Collection is the biggest ripoff ever. $40 for 3 ROMs that are just old as dirt games. I mean, they are. And when it comes to nostalgia, these game companies like to nickel and dime us to death. These games are not worth what they claim. They're not worth what they claim. I feel like nostalgia is more like, it's kind of like a drug. You remember back, oh my God, I remember this game way back in the day. I want to play it again. But most of the time when you go back to, you play it again, you don't end up playing it very long. I mean, I've done that with so many games. I'll fire a game like, oh man, and I get my fix, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. Let's move on to the next game. Games have evolved over the years drastically. Like if you look at the old classic JRPGs, a lot of those games are kind of changing to more of action RPGs. So that whole thing where you walk in, all of a sudden, zoop, and you get in a battle, and you walk a little bit again, zoop, and I can just remember the days where I'm like, God, I just want to look around and see what's around here. I'm getting tired of enemies attacking me. Now, I feel like that old style of game, for the most part, there are still some games that come out that have kind of classic JRPG feel to them, but I feel like a lot of games have kind of adopted an action RPG model. And I feel like when it comes to nostalgia with these titles, that it's only going to be as good as my generation is around. My generation and probably the generation after me. And then these old NES games, these old Super Nintendo games, they're going to end up having zero demand. And right now, while there's some kind of demand with my generation, they're going to nickel and dime us. These companies are going to nickel, dime, until it gets to the point where we die off, and then nobody wants it, and then they're going to be giving it away for free. Here you go. You want these games? We got you. NES games over here. Super Nintendo games over here. No one's gonna want it for free? It's absolutely ridiculous. So, well, Jim, if you're so smart, how do you think that people are going to solve this problem? One thing that I would love to see is I would love to see Nintendo work toward getting additional packages for the Switch Online games, Switch Online membership. So you buy the Switch Online membership, you get access to the base old retro games, a lot of those being Nintendo because it's Nintendo service, right? Nintendo can go ahead and throw their games free on there, no big deal. I would really love to see them go to these other game publishers, these like Activision and Square Enix and Electronic Arts, and see if they can find a way to get the entire collection of Super Nintendo games or the NES 8-bit games, or even Game Boy Advance eventually if they try to put those on there. Go to these companies and see if they can set up a relationship to allow people to buy the libraries for that game system. So you get your Switch Online membership, you go in, you say, hey, here are the systems available. Would you like to purchase the entire library of Super Nintendo games for, I don't know, $80 or maybe even $100? And and some people may laugh at that, the entire popular collection of Super Nintendo games for $80 or $100. I feel like it's a fair price because, like I said earlier, games have evolved so much that a lot of these games are really not worth anything anymore. They're just not. You go back and you play them, you get that nostalgic fix, but they're just not any good because of the evolution. Or set up something like a membership thing. I mean, we're so used to subscriptions these days with TV watching, with Netflix and Hulu and everything else. Maybe set up hey, would you like access to all of these Super Nintendo games for $5 a month or whatever? I know there was Virtual Console before that used to have all these old games in there. You can pay a la carte for a lot of the games. So I'm guessing this is a little similar to Virtual Console, but more of a library collection versus a la carte purchasing. I feel like this is better because it solves a lot of problems. Because when Nintendo arranges relationships with these other companies, maybe they can do something where, okay, you get X percentage, 10% or 8% or 5% of a particular library when a gamer buys that library. And this will solve many, many problems. One, it's easier for the user, right? It's easier. All your games right there. The eShop is so fragmented with all these old games and different packages, but to put them all in one place, it would be nice to go to Switch Online games and know that all the retro games are there. Then your companies will make money. So it's a win-win all around. Just have add-ons to the Switch Online games for these premium type titles that these companies want to get paid more for. But then you can say, oh, well, if Square is making $40 for Mana Collection, why would they want to make 5% or whatever it is for a library of games every time somebody gets... Yeah, okay, so they have a huge markup on that. I can't see a lot of people actually buying the Mana Collection. I can't see it. I just cannot see people coming in the hundreds of millions and buying the Mana Collection. But I can see a lot of people buying into these additional system libraries in the Switch Online game service. I mean, I could see that. And I feel like, it's that whole thing with if they had 10% or 8% of a watermelon, it's way better than 100% of a grape. In my own opinion, I think it's a bigger win for everyone. So if they can all work together, bring all of these titles into a game library, that would be absolutely awesome. And it might help reduce Nintendo's holy war, their holy war against piracy. Because we're all evil, we're all here to steal their games. We want to steal that 35-year-old game or that 20-year-old game. We really need to steal it right now. I think that would actually minimize that kind of Nintendo's holy war a little bit, because you're giving people what they want. You're giving them accessibility to these games. Yes, there's still gonna be people that pirate, but there's no way to stop it 100%. But anyway, that's how I feel about this. And I don't know why all these other YouTubers are thinking it's Nintendo's fault, and maybe they're trying to do some clickbait or they need something to talk about. But yeah, that's it, guys. Until the next video, I am Jim, the Game Guru.